I'm Cory, founder of Auto Advisor. There's a stack of money in your shop you already earned and never collected, the repairs your customers declined. So let me show you the honest way to size that pile and win it back before it walks out the door. There is a stack of money in your shop you already earned and never collected. It's the work your customers declined, the breaks they'll do next paycheck, the leaking strut they wanted to think about, the maintenance they nodded at and drove off without. You inspected it, you quoted it, you recommended it, and then it fell off the edge of everyone's memory. So let me show you the honest way to get that work back. Let's start with why this is the best money in the building. A declined repair is different from every other lead you chase, and the difference is everything. The two most expensive parts of any sale are already paid for. You paid to get that customer in the door, and you paid a technician to diagnose the car. The declined line is the one piece of work where the marketing spend and the diagnostic labor are already sunk. All that's left is a conversation. Here's the short version of everything we're about to cover. A big share of your repair orders leave the shop carrying declined work. Most of that work is recoverable if you follow up fast with proof before the customer forgets or fixes it somewhere else. And what it's worth isn't a headline figure. It's four numbers multiplied together, three of which are already sitting in your shop management system. By the end of this, you'll be able to build your own number. So let's define the job precisely. Following up on declined repairs means going back to a customer who saw a recommended repair and didn't approve it, and giving them an easy, low-pressure way to say yes now. Declined work, sometimes called deferred or unsold work, is any line on an inspection or estimate the customer looked at and postponed. Not a wrong number, not a tire kicker. A real car with a real documented need. And this is the cleanest lever in the whole shop. Because unlike a cold marketing campaign, you already know exactly who they are, exactly what the car needs, and exactly what it costs. The follow-up isn't selling something new, it's finishing a sale you already started. That's why it belongs right next to plugging the calls you never answered in the first place. Now, let's actually size the pile. The honest way to know is to build the number yourself instead of trusting a vendor's headline. It depends on four inputs, and every one of them is either your own data or a benchmark you can vary. Monthly revenue you can recover equals repair orders per month times the percent that carry at least one declined line times the average dollars declined per repair order times the share you win back with follow-up. Let me walk a worked example with every input labeled so nothing hides. Say you write 300 repair orders a month. Assume half of them carry at least one declined line. Many shops see at least that. Put the average declined amount at $300, which is deliberately conservative next to a full repair order, and say disciplined follow-up wins back 20% of it. Now run the multiplication. 300 repair orders times 50% carrying declined work is 150 orders with money left on them. 150 times $300 each is $45,000 a month of already recommended work sitting unsold. Recover 20% of that with follow-up, and you put back about $9,000 a month. Call it $108,000 a year on work you already did the hard part to earn. But I won't hand you one number and call it a fact, because your real figure lives in a band. On the low end, 200 orders, 40% carrying declined work, $250 each, 12% recaptured, you're around $2,400 a month. On the high end, 500 orders, a bigger declined average, a stronger recapture, you're past $27,000 a month. Your real number is somewhere in there, and you can find it in about 10 minutes with your own repair order count. One input deserves its own chapter, because it's where most calculators cheat. You'll see vendors multiply your full car count by a full average repair order, as if every customer declined an entire job. They don't. A declined line is usually one deferred service, a brake job, an alignment, a fluid service, not the whole ticket. So I anchored it at $300, comfortably below the most common full repair order bracket. For the full repair order benchmark, the most defensible number I found is Parts Tech's 2025 survey of 752 US shops, which puts the most common bracket at $500 to $749 and a typical general shop range of $400 to $550. Your declined average sits below that because it's a slice of the order, not the whole thing. Use your own declined line total. It's the single most honest way to make this math yours. So, why do customers say no in the first place? Almost always for one of three reasons, and knowing which one tells you how to follow up. The first is cost. The repair was more than they'd budgeted that day, so no really meant not right now. The second is trust. They weren't sure the work was truly necessary, especially if it was described in jargon without proof. The third is timing. Nothing was wrong that afternoon, so a future dated need lost to whatever was urgent that week. And here's the key: none of those three is a permanent no. Not right now, I'm not sure, and I forgot are all answered by the same two things: proof and a nudge at a better moment. That's why the follow up that works isn't a discount blast. It's a reminder that carries the evidence the customer needed the first time. Cox Automotive is blunt about the trust half of this. Customers now expect digital communication and visual proof, and the shops that provide it convert more of what they recommend. Put a number on it. TechMetric's 2024 data, published in the Parts Tech report, found that repair orders authorized with digital documentation, photos, videos, notes, average about 50% higher value than those approved without it. The declined lines most likely to come back are the ones you can resend with the inspection photo attached. Here's the picture of your rear brakes from Tuesday, and the quote's still good. That beats "you have service due" every single time because it answers the exact trust objection that caused the decline. So, when exactly should you follow up? There are two windows, and both are earlier than most shops think. The first is the next business day, while the car, the noise, and the quote are all still fresh, and before the customer has had time to shop the job or drive on the problem. Every day you wait, the memory of why they came in fades, and the odds of a competitor answering first go up. The second window is just before the need turns urgent, timed to the specific line they declined. A reminder a few weeks out on brakes measured near the limit, or ahead of the season for a cooling system job. The car itself sets the calendar. And the reason none of this can wait indefinitely is that the whole market is getting less loyal underneath you. Look at what's happening to loyalty. Cox Automotive's November 2025 study found only 54% of owners with a car 2 years old or newer returned to their selling dealer for service, down from 72% just 2 years earlier. And 45% of owners said they were dissatisfied, mostly over unexpected cost and poor communication. That collapse in loyalty cuts both ways. It's the reason your declined work walks if you're slow, and it's the opening if you're fast. The same study found dealerships are handing 12% more of their service visits to independents than they did in 2018. Customers are actively looking for a shop that communicates well and doesn't surprise them on price. A same day, photo backed follow up is exactly the behavior they say they're missing. Now, text, email, or a phone call. Use text for the nudge, email for the detail, and a call only for the big ticket declines. Text wins for the first touch because it gets read in minutes and it's frictionless to reply to. Keep it short and attach or link the inspection photo. Email is the place for the full estimate, the line item breakdown, and any financing option because there's room to show the work. A phone call is worth a human's time only on high dollar declines, where a real conversation genuinely changes the decision. And whatever the channel, the message that works has the same three parts: the specific car and job, the proof, the photo or the measurement, and one easy next step, like reply yes and we'll hold Thursday. Generic "you're due for service" blasts get ignored precisely because they drop all three. But how do you do this without becoming the shop that nags? Pace it and honor consent. The fastest way to turn a recoverable customer into a lost one is to hammer them with reminders. So cap it. One chase per declined job while it's still fresh, spaced out by a couple of weeks, and stop the moment they reply or the window has clearly passed. The goal is one well timed, useful nudge, not a drip that reads as nagging. And the rules aren't optional. Text and call outreach in the US falls under TCPA and do not call requirements, which means you need proper consent to message a customer and a clean way for them to opt out. This is exactly why we build follow up as a draft a human sends, not an autopilot that blasts your customer list. The person hitting send is the one who owns the consent and the opt out check, and that's where it belongs. Which brings me to the agent that does the tedious part. This is exactly the tedious, easy to skip job that AI is best at: watching every closed repair order for declined lines, remembering to chase them at the right moment, and writing the message with the real dollars and the right photo attached, so a human just reviews and sends. That's what the Auto Advisor Retention Agent does. It drafts a declined work chase while the repair order is still fresh, and it sums the exact dollars at stake from your stored decline prices. The AI never invents a number. The design choice that makes it safe is that it is draft only in every mode, including auto, and that's enforced in code, not by convention. It never messages your customer directly. It queues a message for a human to send from your own tools, which keeps the final TCPA and do not call screening at the human send step, where it legally belongs. And you stay in command. You set every agent to off, to approve, where it drafts and you confirm, or to auto, where it works inside the rails you define. It sits on top of the shop management software you already run: TechMetric, ShopMonkey, Shopware, AutoLeap, Mitchell One, or your dealer DMS. Nothing gets ripped out, no migration, no downtime. So, is it actually worth automating? This is the question that just follow up more advice always skips. So, let me answer it directly. Worth it is its own arithmetic: recaptured revenue minus the cost and the effort of the fix. The reason declined work follow up almost always clears that bar is that the recapture scales with your volume, while the cost barely moves. And the effort, the part where service writers never have time for, is exactly what gets automated away. Run it on the mid case. Recovering $9,000 a month against a tool that costs a few hundred is not a close call. And it compounds. Every recovered customer is also one more relationship kept alive for the next visit. That compounding is the real prize, and the research backs it up. Bain and Company's work found that a 5% lift in customer retention can raise profits anywhere from 25 to 95%. But here's the same honesty I've kept all the way down. Run it on your own declined line total and your own recapture rate before you buy anything. If your writers already chase every deferred job the next morning and you're recovering most of it, you may not need this, and I'll be the first to tell you so. Most shops aren't that shop because the phone rings and the next call rolls in, and the follow up quietly never happens. The honest way to know is to look at what's actually in your declined pile. One last thing: why we build it this way. Auto Advisor was built by Cory Salisbury. That's me, with an engineering career across Tesla, SpaceX, and Rivian. Places where an autonomous system has to be safe, has to show its work, and always keeps a human in command. The same rule applies to your customer list. An agent that chases a declined brake job shows you the dollars and the source, and the modes mean a person always decides what actually gets sent. The honest version of this whole video is one sentence: The cheapest job you'll ever sell is the one you already sold once. You just have to go back and finish it. Chase the declined work with the proof attached, and the revenue is already yours. So here's the before and the after. Before, the declined line gets logged on the inspection and then forgotten. The customer drives on the worn brakes, gets them done down the road at whoever reminded them first, and you end the month sensing you left money on the table without ever being able to point at where. After, every declined job is chased by the next morning with the photo attached. The customer books the work they already know they need, and the pile you couldn't see is simply worked down week after week. If you want the declined work math run on your own real numbers, there's a live demo, no login, nothing to install, at autoadvisorpartners.com/demo. Run the formula on your repair order count. Watch the retention agent draft a declined work chase with the real dollars attached. And that's life after the system. The busy work handled, and your team free to do the work only people can do. See it on your shop floor at Auto Advisor Partners.